What is up? Welcome back to Softcore History. I am your host for the week, Rob Fox, joined as always by Dan Regester. We're coming to you over the Christmas holiday. Welcome to our show. Thanks for listening while you're driving or shopping or avoiding family, whatever you're doing.
Getting out of the house, you've been with the extended family, your parents, maybe kids for 48 to 72 hours at this point.
You told them you're going to visit a friend. They don't know that friend OD'd 6 years ago. You're just out driving.
You're going for a nice drive.
Yeah.
Maybe getting some tobacco in you, maybe drinking and driving. I hope you're not, but.
Yeah, I don't drink and drive like a lot. You know, maybe like a 2-beer, go out to see a movie, have a beer or two at the movie.
You got a handgun in your lap. You're staring off into the distance.
Wait, I actually thought of a fun game to play for people over Christmas break. Every night you go out, tell your mom you're going to meet a friend of yours who OD'd. And do that every night until she knows that one of them OD'd.
Till she figures it out.
Yeah. So it's like first night, like, yeah, Mom, I'm going to see,
Your parents are the ones that usually break that news to you, though. Maybe not for you. But since I've been out of Philadelphia, it's usually my parents are like, oh, so-and-so unfortunately passed.
The only one my parents, I feel like, know about is like one of my brother's friends who OD'd like fucking 8 years ago at this point. But
my parents are there always like, oh, hey, just so you know, this person died, this person died, this person died. Hope you have a good day.
Yeah, I ran into Joey Tremoli's parents, and they were coming back from his funeral. He died.
Had a lot of good times with Tremoli.
Mm-hmm. Joey, good guy. Got fucked up at his house sophomore year. He's a good guy.
Got a hand job at his house.
And that's all that qualifies for him being a good guy. Like, you even though you know for a fact that like he wasn't paying his child support for years, you're just like, yeah, but that party. Sophomore year.
10th grade.
Fucking
upperclassman. Give me an HJ.
Because he gave you
behind his dad's shed.
That's a core memory. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how many core memories that are negative that he gave to the 6-year-old he left behind.
Yes.
He gave you a positive core memory.
And that's what's important. And that kid didn't really deserve more money. His mother's actually asking for too much.
Yeah, that kid didn't know the real Joey. And never will now.
I mean, Joey barely could hold a job.
Joey.
I mean, what kind of child support does he need to provide? He's in and out of rehab.
Joey was too good for this world.
Yeah.
He was too good for it.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to this fictional Philadelphian / St. Louis.
Tremoli?
I don't know. It's always Italian or Irish.
Yeah, you might as well make it just Mickey McPherson.
Yeah. I feel like me and you, though, grew up with very similarly named people.
It's the Irish Catholics.
Yes, Irish, Italian, Catholic. Like, if I just, I might do this one day for like a Patreon, patreon.com.
Because every area had their parishes, right?
Yep.
Each church.
Yeah.
What parish you from?
Yeah. I was in kind of like a mixed parish, but like the South City parishes.
I was Our Lady of Fatima.
Christ the King. Christ the King.
I had some beef with some Christ the Kings.
Really?
Yeah, mainly you, but no, I mean, I hated St. Thomas Aquinas. I hated OLP. I just didn't like OLP.
St. Blaise. Fuck St. Blaise. They were a rival in baseball for a while.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Holy Cross fucked us up a lot in CYO basketball and football.
Okay. I'm trying to think of other schools, other grade schools that pissed me off back in the day. St. Blaise was really the main one. St. Roch's was soft.
You ever try to make all Catholic?
No.
You didn't reach all Catholic status in tennis?
Tennis? There was no tennis back then.
Oh, you didn't? I didn't know any sport you played, so.
I played all the sports in like K through 8.
No, like high school.
Oh, high school just tennis, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
No, I didn't play.
I didn't go to a Catholic high school, so
yeah.
I couldn't make the all-Catholic team.
It's just all conference at that point. We were in a Catholic like our conference was like all Catholic schools, kind of like the Big East in basketball now.
Right.
But yeah, I wasn't making anything. I only played JV and then quit to do theater full time.
Dude, you didn't even make varsity? You didn't let her?
Dude, It's a country club sport at a private school. Come on.
Come on, dude. So you're ass. You're a bad tennis player.
No, dude, because JV. You want to know the reason I quit JV tennis? Honestly, other than I liked theater better.
Your coach yelled at you.
What?
Your coach was mean.
He was mean to me. Yeah. I'll never forgive him. No, I liked our coach. He was my French teacher, and he didn't give a fuck about anything.
My French teacher was also my dad's golf coach, and he's my golf coach.
Nice.
And I have the same name as my dad, so he already hated me.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Coach LaSalle.
No, so JV tennis sucked because they only let JV play doubles. You couldn't play singles in JV. I'm a much better singles player than a doubles player. I only liked playing singles. I still to this day don't really like playing doubles.
So you're not a big pickleball guy?
That's different. I just don't care about pickleball, so I don't care if there's someone else there or not.
I didn't care about pickleball until they took one of the basketball courts at Lifetime Fitness.
They take all the courts. It's a virus. They take the tennis courts.
It doesn't stop. I don't know how it's gotten this big, but it has, and I don't care for it. You can, I'm cool with retirees playing pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's probably more their speed than tennis at this point.
Well, yeah, eventually you can't cover a tennis court when you're fucking 60.
But nothing infuriates me more than just like kids in their 20s, people our age, just being all about pickleball.
I mean, I'll play pickleball just because it's fun, but yeah, I don't know about making it your whole fucking thing because it is it's
a weird fucking.
They're tennis larpers
hobby to just like ride for.
To get really into,
yeah.
And now it's becoming a thing where if you go to like a website like Adidas or Nike and you go to their tennis shoes, now it's tennis/pickleball shoes.
Yeah, and I mean Joey got really into pickleball before he OD'd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was his one thing. He was really turning a corner. He got addicted to pickleball, but not quick enough.
Not quick enough. It didn't pull him out of the darkness.
No, poor guy. Poor Joey. Well, let's get into today's episode. Today, we're talking about a little bitch.
A dog?
A pussy. A
cat?
A pussy. A fucking bitch, dude. This guy fucking a cuck. Soft ass, bitch ass, motherfucker.
Your father that left you.
Well, my father didn't leave, so.
He came back. He left for a night.
Couldn't do it.
He went to grab some milk, maybe some cigs, and then he saw his reflection in the rear view mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Made eye contact with himself, stared directly into his soul, and he's like, I guess I'll put up with this for the rest of my life.
Couldn't do it. Now, to be fair, it'd be a cigar for my father, but yeah, I can't disprove that. You're Herodotusing my early years.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All you know is I had a father. You're filling in the blanks.
I'm giving details.
Yeah.
That need to be added.
Makes a better story. But yeah, we're talking about this gay little bitch, this pussy. Now, granted, sure, he was a cavalry commander by the age of 26 and won a lot of important battles for his country. At 29, he became arguably a key general under one of the greatest military commanders of all time. Still, though, little bitch, even though he helped conquer an unforbidding land, bitch. He was instrumental in winning major battles and putting down revolts, but still a little pussy bitch.
Right.
He was then promoted and commanded even more men, reconquered lands taken from them, bitch, pussy. Saw combat over and over again in most of his major battles, but absolute soft little bitch.
Today, we're talking about George Washington.
Not far off, because this is at least how people, or how one person in particular, came to portray Mark Antony. General Mark Antony of the Roman Republic. We're talking about the propaganda campaign that Octavian, a.k.a. Augustus Caesar, ran against Mark Antony in order to make himself more powerful and ultimately become the sole ruler and first emperor of Rome. And it was by...
Antony bothers me.
Why?
Just be Anthony.
Well,
add the H. Add the fucking H.
They added that later. They didn't have H's back then. I'm just kidding. They probably did.
That was a New World letter?
Yeah, except for Herodotus. Herodotus was actually Herodotus. You don't realize that.
Yeah.
It was added the H was added much, much later. But no, we're talking about Mark Antony, and my favorite thing about... So one of my favorite things about ancient Rome, in that it's total bullshit and we don't give it enough, like, as a general public. I'm sure historians do, but as a general public, we really don't think enough about how our understanding of the republic to empire transition and the key figures in it are all basically the epitome of histories written by the winners. And we kind of just culturally, and even from a historical perspective, until you get really into the weeds, kind of just take them at their propagandist word.
Yeah. There were sometimes the Roman soldiers would go in, kill the emperor, and then just sell the seat to the highest bidder.
The Praetorian Guard, yeah. That was a fun time. That was a couple hundred years later, but yeah.
So really, the guy that was in power had no power?
In a certain era, that's not inaccurate. Like, if you pissed off, this is like the equivalent of, like, pissing off, I wouldn't say, like, the Secret Service, but, like, maybe just the Pentagon, I guess, or something.
If the Secret Service...
CIA.
No, if the Secret Service had, like, a la carte to just dispose of anyone.
Right. So, Mark Antony was, although one historian, Adrian Goldsworthy, kind of says he wasn't that great of a commander, we kind of take a sort of, like, almost Shakespearean view of Mark Antony. The general consensus is that he was a very good general and certainly an experienced soldier who saw a lot of battles and a lot of combat and stuff like that. But
do we give the Romans too much credit? Were they getting easy dubs?
No. Conquering and subduing and keeping the amount of territory they had, and then especially places like...
That's certainly impressive. But
like
I'm saying, were they
and...
already well established to the point that some of the guys later on just kind of kept the wheels going?
Oh, turnkey operation, certainly. The same way, like
as long as the system's in place,
yeah,
it's the Syracuse zone.
Yes, yeah, it's plug and play, and that is absolutely true. It's very much like I would say not too indifferent from like the United States of America, right? Like it is, even if you're a bad president, for example, like you're still doing better than the rest of the world, most likely, and the United States is such a humongous and powerful economy that it's very difficult to fuck things up unless you almost do it by force, because like the market's gonna win in the end.
Market always
the
wins.
Money's gonna win.
Yeah.
So like it's like trying to dam a waterfall, or so, like it's just, you can't. It's an unstoppable force almost. It takes almost not supernatural, but like acts of God to actually fuck it up. Like a person can't do it.
Okay. Yeah. No. Who would be regarded as like the best Roman general then? Is it somebody from the Punic Wars?
Scipio Africanus would be up there, certainly. Caesar is on the very, very short list. So is Pompey.
Yeah.
By the way, Pompey did a lot of incredible shit.
Pompey,
whatever. And then there's later guys too. And then if you even want to count like Eastern Roman generals, Belisarius is as good as anyone that ever lived, probably. So yeah, there's a lot, but Caesar is up there, and Mark Antony is. I would say Mark Antony maybe a good comp. I don't know for sure, but maybe a good comp would be like Antony is the Sherman to Caesar's Grant.
Dude, Sherman's dope though.
I know. So, but Mark Antony's kind of dope too.
Does he burn a city to the ground?
A lot of them.
All the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Antony was a badass motherfucker who eventually got portrayed in the eyes of Romans as...
reputation as a little tiny bitch.
A cuck, a bitch, soft.
Did his wife cheat on him?
The opposite.
He cheated on his wife?
Oh, boy.
All
and
the time.
That plays into it quite a bit.
That makes you a cuck, though?
So...
You're cuck queening.
I'll explain how. We'll get into how. And they make a very direct comparison in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
But one thing that's going to crop up over and over again. So all of this essentially is legitimized. Probably isn't the right word, but like it's made not probable. What am I thinking of? It's made like it could be possible. Seemed like it could be possible because of who he was fucking, which was Cleopatra. And so the general thing that inspires all this is that, oh, he's adopting Eastern ways. And Eastern is essentially would be like today's code for just gay.
Also, she's kind of a hoe.
I don't know that she's cheating on him. She's a pragmatic hoe.
She's fucking.
She's fucking him. And actually, they, from all historical accounts, they're not ever away from each other for very long once they start dating or whatever. So like, it's just them banging each other. Like
she's fucking serving boys like left and right.
As far as I can tell, they're genuinely in love. But also, that's not cheating. That's just jacking off into a servant boy. That's not.
Well, they're jacking off into her.
No, I don't think so. I think she's keeping it for Mark.
Okay.
But Mark is probably...
Cream pie only for Mark?
Yeah, but Mark's probably jacking. I mean, they had a lot of kids together. Antony and Cleopatra.
And we're certain they were his.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It seems to be... Like I said, they were not away from each other for very long once they started their thing. They were kind of always together.
She was not a good ruler.
Well, she rolled the dice, I think. And I don't blame her. And...
That's what happens when you let a woman in power.
I say this later in the episode, but Mark Antony doesn't really do himself any favors. You know what I mean? Like, he really kind of, like, tosses gasoline onto the propaganda fire. But But what's funny is, though, the way he does it is that, like, it's very clear that he's the opposite of what they're saying, and he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants because he's a dude. Like, he's kind of badass, and he's like, fuck this, I'm going to impose my will and do whatever the fuck I want. But it plays into the narrative that Octavian is putting forward.
Can he control Cleopatra to do whatever he wants?
I think... I'm talking out of my ass here, obviously, because I'm not a historian. I'm not an expert on this. This is softcore history. But I think they were genuinely in love.
Okay, but can he steamroller?
Yeah, he can... Yes. But I think
So he's really in power in Egypt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's the one I mean, Cleopatra's a client queen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that is his domain. The eastern part of the empire is kind of what he's running. And so
what Daddy says Cleopatra does.
But she has his ear. Like, it's a partnership.
I guess.
But either way.
It's how well she's sucking that how.
Yeah, and he's getting laid. But the thing of it is, though, is that
she has the golden mouth.
Yeah, she's the Nancy Reagan. The throat goat.
Was Antony the one that gave her the name? Or no, that was Caesar, wasn't it?
It was probably Caesar. Because she had a kid with Caesar, too.
Yeah.
Caesarian. But the whole point
Is he a cuck because he was after Caesar?
No, they don't say that. In fact, they try to Octavian doesn't want to bring up the fact that Caesar's with her at all. Because she had a son through Caesar.
Yeah.
And so that's too...
So added legitimacy to the son?
Yes. Yeah, he didn't... That's something that they did not want to bring up in any way whatsoever. So they didn't talk about that, really, because that would have lent credence to the fact that there was another rightful heir to Caesar who was not Octavian, because Octavian wasn't even Caesar's kid.
Right.
He was the adopted son of Caesar in his will. In Caesar's will. So, like, they didn't find out about that until after Caesar
post-death adoption.
Yeah, literally. So
that sounds sus.
The whole point of this is that Octavian portrays Antony as Eastern, which is a twofold insult, and we'll get into how he does it, but it's a twofold insult. One, definitely most important, is that it means he's foreign now. He's not Roman. He's been lost to the East.
Of course.
He's a foreigner. But also, what type of foreigner is he? And that is, like, again, like we joked around in the Herodotus episode last week when we talk about the Persians marching on Greece. It's just a parade of gay weirdos. That's Egypt. Or it's Egypt, but it's the East, right? Like, they're not strong, body Roman true men, right? These are soft, artistic, gay lord, even though everybody's doing gay stuff. But like you're just like, yeah, he's weak. He's effeminate. That's the Eastern man is effeminate.
Yeah.
He's gay.
They're doing it in a twink way.
Yeah. And that is how he is portrayed because he's having sex with the most famous woman in the East. So he's effeminate.
It's like calling Travis Kelce gay now.
I know. Dude, this guy's fucking Taylor Swift. We're fucking queer. Like, what?
That is happening.
I know. It's fucking crazy.
She's got no curves, though.
That is actually a great comp. Travis Kelce is a soft football player now because he's having sex with a famous pop star who writes girly songs. So he's a bitch. That is what happened to Mark Antony in the propaganda. That's a perfect analogy.
Home runs every now and then. Contact hitter, though.
Yeah, you know. So in 43 BC, the second triumvirate happens. It's between Octavian, Antony, and Lepidus. Essentially, in the wake of Caesar's assassination, they start running the country. And during these years, Antony's kind of running the east. He's invading Parthia. He kind of wants to. Antony has his own designs on grandeur. He kind of wants to do Alexandria the Great shit, right? Conquer more of the east, stuff like that. Octavian stays in Italy, where he kind of strengthens his power with the Roman people and the Roman Senate. Lepidus is a nobody, and he gets kicked out in 36 BC. So Octavian, a.k.a. Augustus, the man who would become the first emperor, he wants to be the emperor. He wants to be sole power. He has designs on, I think, something. Well, Caesar, I guess, had designs on this, but he has designs on something that I think nobody else alive at that very moment had designs on. I don't think Antony had designs necessarily on singular, lifelong monarchical power.
So forgive me, I'm not as plugged into the alpha male Roman history grind. You know, I haven't been reading up on my meditations from Marcus Aurelius. But what's the difference between a Caesar and an emperor?
What do you mean?
Wasn't Julius Caesar an emperor?
No, he was dictator for life.
Well, I guess what's the difference between a dictator and emperor?
The title hadn't been invented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same though?
Yeah, dictator was more like the actual term they would use at the time for someone who's solely in charge. And Caesar was like, you know what? You're going to make me that for life. And imperator was what Augustus was, and that was...
So he was the first...
Yeah.
Emperor, so it's just the first title. First time it's ever been mentioned.
Yeah.
But same power.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And they really wanted to avoid the word king. That's why these other titles are used, because Romans fucking hated kings. Think about, like, someone trying to declare themselves king of America in the 1810s.
Yeah.
Right? No kings. No fucking kings. They fucking hated kings. And that was a good piece of propaganda they would use against all their enemies, right? Like, we're fighting a king, right? We're fighting a Carthaginian king. Even if someone wasn't a king, they'd call him a king, just because that was a slander. It's the same way we today actually might call someone a dictator. Like, Americans will just throw dictator, right? Because Hitler was a dictator, and that really is the gist of it. Like, I don't think we necessarily super duper hated dictators prior to World War II. Like, we didn't like him. Santa Anna was a dictator in Mexico when we fought him. But dictator really became like a filthy word from World War II afterwards, where we would just throw that at anybody. Saddam Hussein to dictator.
Right.
Dictator.
King's actually gotten softer.
It has. King, we're like, aw.
The king of Jordan.
Look at that little cute little king.
He's a dictator.
He's a king of something.
Yeah.
There's no functional difference.
No. But we're like the king of Jordan. He's dope.
Or like the king of England. We're like, oh, England is king again.
That's not really a thing, though. That's kind of more like symbolic.
Yeah, but we do think it's cute when a country has a king.
Mm-hmm.
But a dictator... Yeah, but King of Jordan is a fucking dictator.
What he says goes.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if emperor was softer or...
For them it was. It was just not, you know what I mean?
Was he voted?
Yeah, but like the same way a dictator...
Did he have to like listen to the Senate?
You can't throw what they say completely out the window.
Okay. Didn't Caesar do that? Granted, he was stabbed.
I mean, Caesar didn't listen to them as much as they would have liked, and that was the problem. And they were also just like, he's trying to become a king. Because they were like, that's what dictator for life is.
Yeah.
It's a fucking king.
Just like no term limits, you know?
Yeah, which is why they stabbed him. As soon as Lepidus was out, Octavian was like, all right, it's just me and Antony. This is going to come to a head at some point because I know what I want. And I don't even think Antony wanted to be sole ruler, but I think he also kind of knew that Octavian was going to become a problem for him one way or the other. And he certainly didn't want to bend the knee to Octavian.
You don't want to serve the Octman?
The kid who was a teenager when he became in the when he went into the triumvirate with Antony, who was a hardened veteran who helped conquer Gaul and then beat, like, he was the one who beat Caesar's assassins, Brutus and stuff, in that civil war. Octavian was just a bitch. Like, Octavian's is a soft hands dude. No combat, no war. Like, Antony wins all the wars against the people who fought against him and Octavian and stuff after the assassination. Like, Antony does the dirty work for pretty much everything.
Octavian had a silver spoon shoved up his ass.
Literally, yes. He was, yeah. You watch the show Rome. That's exactly how it is. Although Octavian, I love the character Octavian in Rome, but yeah, he's a soft hands, rich kid who has lust for power and wants to get it. Antony also wants power and glory and fame. I just don't think he had designs on completely remaking the Republic or anything. He just kind of wanted to be like the great, like
just continue it.
He wanted to be on Mount Rushmore,
yeah,
right? But he didn't want to make a new title for himself, as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, making a title is not really an accomplishment, though.
I'm this now, yeah.
Cool.
So, Octavian and Antony, propaganda started going back and forth. The first major turning point was in 35 BC when Octavia, who was Octavian's sister and Antony's wife, that was, of course, a political marriage to help be like, yeah, we're friends and everything, even though they're not. Octavia took a trip to visit Antony in Athens. And at this point, Antony and Cleopatra were already banging.
Mm-hmm.
They had been banging for like 6 years.
Right.
But that's not necessarily that crazy for him to bang other people. However, it was a lot more of a...
He's a soldier on the road.
Yeah, it was more of a public affair than people were used to. Anyway, she shows up.
That's a little disrespectful. Just kind of throwing it in her face.
Yeah. And in everyone's face, right? For her to know about and just be embarrassed by.
Yeah.
So she shows up and she brings them like vital supplies, animals, clothing, money, armor, and units of the Praetorian Guard. Antony accepted and received her gifts, but he didn't ever receive her. He sent a messenger to be like, thanks, you can leave.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
And she left.
Yeah.
And Octavian seized on that opportunity to depict Antony.
He's got to bang his wife.
As a piece of shit. Yeah.
Octavian. Why didn't Octavian go for the wife?
Who?
Mark Antony.
Mark Antony's wife is Octavian's sister.
Yeah, but you got to cuck Mark Antony.
Any way you can.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't really work because they're not really down with incest. This isn't like a Habsburg situation or a Egypt situation.
That's where the Romans draw the line?
Yep.
You can fuck anything except your sister?
Look, man, it's all arbitrary. A hole's a hole.
They don't really portray that in Gladiator.
We're just drawing lines, bro.
Pretty sure Joaquin Phoenix wants to bone his sister.
Yeah, but everyone else thinks it's weird, including the sister.
That's fair.
So Octavian is like,
you gotta do what you gotta do, though. If you really want to go at this man's throat, and you gotta take a shot at him, sometimes you gotta suck it up.
Well, suffice it to say, Octavian did fuck his sister.
He killed his sister,
just in a different way.
Yeah.
So Octavian was like, my sister's a good, virtuous Roman woman. They just think, just in your head, replace Roman with Christian, even though the Christianity doesn't even exist yet. It's like a good Christian woman, like a good, honest woman, you know, a pious, like conservative woman. Like she's a good woman. And Antony is in Athens banging a slut, a dirty Eastern slut. It's not Roman at all. So Octavian is like, Antony, who helped us conquer Gaul, who fucking conquered land from the Parthians, who defeated the people who killed my father, I don't think he cares about Rome anymore.
If there's ever a man that should be able to fuck whoever he wants.
Right? This guy's resume is bananas.
He expanded the empire.
So here's the thing about that visit, though. And here's how Octavian fucked his sister. He knew Antony was going to do that. And he was the one who sent her to do it. Sent her to, like, visit him, knowing that Antony... I don't know if she knew or not, but he knew that Antony was going to be a dick to her. And he sent her knowing Antony was going to be a dick to her.
Did he ever love her?
No, it was a political arranged marriage.
Oh.
But he sent his sister to go get embarrassed.
Did they ever have kids together?
Yeah, I think they did have a kid, actually.
Okay.
I believe they did. But he sent his sister to go get publicly embarrassed.
Right.
To make himself look better.
To be a cuck queen.
Yeah. So the propaganda campaign begins in earnest.
She was just a cog in the machine.
She was just a fucking pawn, dude.
Yeah.
Just
that's unfortunate.
Get knocked off. I mean, she didn't die, like it killed her or anything, but she was just embarrassed. Like, he embarrassed her. Yeah. So the propaganda campaign starts to begin in earnest. Octavian does things like give out coins to the Roman public with brief, mean slogans on them, portraying Antony as a womanizer and a drunk and also effeminate.
We should do that now. We just get like a crisp $100 bill.
We do that now. Not with the coins, but we do like portray.
No, I want it on my currency. Like just a $100 bill with Donald Trump on it that just says like
slut.
Yeah.
Like he's the slut.
Just a slut.
Yeah, that'd probably backfire though. You got to find a different thing. But it is kind of like Trump making fun of McCain for getting captured, right? It's like, oh, all right, yeah, you're in the army, or like whatever, you're in the military, but gay.
No, just McCain on a 20. It just says loser.
Yeah, I like truly like it's that type of thing where it's like, hold on a minute, and that's a perfect example too, because it's like you have Trump, who has never been anywhere near the military, minus I guess a high school, maybe military academy, being like, that guy's service is pathetic. Yeah, that guy's service doesn't count anymore.
He got captured.
Because he got captured. And it's like, but he was there. He did a thing. You didn't do anything. And people bought this from Octavian, too. They were like, yeah, I think Mark Antony might be a pussy. The rich kid's right. The rich kid, and by the way...
If you say it enough, it becomes true.
Yeah, and by the way, this whole time, Octavian was presenting himself as a good... honest, simple, like Roman who believed in like basically conservative Roman values, right? Like old conservative is not the right word. Like just old Roman values, right?
Right.
So, and Antony meanwhile was off doing like weird heterosexual sex, but in a gay pride parade type of way.
Mm-hmm.
So he sucks, and he's not a real Roman anymore. He also, so he implied that not only had Antony been corrupted by his affair, but that Cleopatra was his puppet master now. And like I said, Antony, Octavian, soft hands, never actually did anything on his own. But another reason...
How's Cleopatra going to be the puppet master when her hands and mouth are busy?
Exactly. They're not up at... Well, maybe there's a finger up there. We don't know.
A little crank. Two-hander. You think Mark Antony had a two-hander?
I hope so. Although that wouldn't be very Roman of him. Because Romans had tiny, fancy penises. That's the ideal Roman hog. Is a piglet.
They had knobs.
Yeah. You just want an acorn.
Yeah. Acorn. That's how it's portrayed in all the statues.
That's a good penis.
That's a sophisticated dick.
That's a yeah. I say it all the time.
High society, small dick.
My wife is like, I don't feel it. And I'm like, then why don't you go to Applebee's and find one you can feel? You dumb bitch.
Go find a peasant dick.
Yeah. Go find a good one.
Go to the stables.
Idiot. But one of the reasons that this Octavian did this and went hard and did the thing with his sister and then went hard after Mark Antony is that, believe it or not, when all this started, Mark Antony was definitely the more popular of the two guys.
You don't say.
Yeah. The conqueror.
Accomplished general.
Caesar's right-hand general. The guy who beat the people.
Now, how did the Roman public feel about Caesar, though?
The plebs liked him.
But after the fact? Even when he died?
Yeah, they thought
he thought
he got fucked over. Even though he was I mean, but I guess you could say what Caesar was doing really, I don't think, had much of an effect on them.
No.
Like, it was a republic. Like, they're not voting for council.
No.
Fucking Bill the bread maker's not doing it, you know?
Like, he definitely deserved to get stabbed a couple times. Maybe not that many times.
Everyone had to get a lick in.
Yeah.
You don't want to you don't want to say you're the one guy who didn't stab Caesar.
You need some blood on your hands.
Yeah. So, like I said, primary goal to portray Antony as Eastern, which basically means soft, and whipped. Those are the two things, and not Roman. So Plutarch, another famous ancient historian.
That's not a person.
Plutarch?
No.
It's a guy.
I'm not taking the word of Plutarch seriously.
That's fine. I mean, he was writing kind of propaganda, I guess, because I don't think he was a big fan of Mark Antony necessarily. He wrote, Mark Antony being in Alexandria, there to keep holiday like a boy, in play and diversion, squandering and fooling away in enjoyments that most costly, as Antiphon says, of all valuables, time. So Antony was just there, wasting time.
Screwing.
Not serious, just fucking, yeah. Now, here's another very important way that Octavian portrayed Antony as soft, whipped, cuck, whatever you want to call it, whatever form of effeminate you want to do.
Yeah,
Gay,
find another.
Pussy,
get the power thesaurus out.
Yeah,
let's get some new words.
The alpha thesaurus.
Yeah,
I
said power thesaurus.
Okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Like Roman noble families kind of like as their sort of to like hype themselves up, kind of had origin stories about where they came from, right? Who they were descended from, and it was always ancient Greek heroes. And the Antony, for them, it was Hercules. They were descended from one of Hercules' sons, because I guess Hercules fucked a lot. So Octavian seized on this. I didn't know this about Hercules, but he was like, oh, yeah? Yeah, Antony's Hercules? He's descended from Hercules? You know what version of Hercules he's descended from? He's descended from the version that was enslaved by Omphale, the barbarian woman who buys Hercules as a slave. I don't know how Hercules got there, by the way. I don't know how he became the man who could, like, was stronger than anyone and could just, like, rip chains off, became a slave. But he did, I guess, at some point. She bought him as a slave for a mere 3 silver talents. And I guess, like, after Hercules was her slave, she, to, like, further embarrass him, would make him do chores in women's clothing.
He had to wear a dress.
Yeah. So she was like, clean the kitchen and put this dress on, sweetheart.
Little maid outfit.
Yeah. Here you go, sweetie. You little bitch.
Here's a duster.
Yeah. So Octavian portrayed Antony as that version of Hercules. And he said that Cleopatra was essentially the barbarian queen, the foreign queen, not barbarian, better way to put it, foreign, because the Easterners weren't considered barbarians necessarily. Because barbarians were at least tough.
Yeah.
I feel like if you run the gamut, it's like the barbarians, like the Germans and Gauls and stuff like that, were almost like ape people. You know what I mean? All muscle, no brain.
Cleopatra, though, was not fully Egyptian, though.
No, she was fucking Greek.
Greek, yeah.
I know. But the Ptolemies had been there for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And so they were like a Greek-Egyptian hybrid at this point. Uh-huh. They were very Easternized.
Yeah.
They were not Athens Greek in any meaningful way. They were like, I don't know, Tex-Mex Greek.
Dude, think of the nose on that girl.
What, the Greek nose?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's like renderings of her.
She's not like traditionally attractive.
Yeah. They actually did give her a fucking
schnoz.
Pretty good honker on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Oh, yeah. Was she Greek?
Yeah. Would you, though?
The woman with the golden mouth? You got to take it out for a test ride.
Yeah, I think you got to try at least once. Like, undoubtedly. I'm not even going to act like that wouldn't happen. But so they essentially said,
yeah, you travel through time. Even if you're with your wife, you're like, I gotta give this a go.
yeah. I'm like, babe, when are we going to be back here? Never. Or we're never going to leave here. Because I don't know. We walked through a wormhole, and I don't know if that's coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is sliders. Like, do we have a set time where we have to go through?
Yeah. We might just have to wait out, like if you go back in time to 30 BC, like literally
I don't see Jerry O'Connell anywhere.
My strategy, if I accidentally got sent back in time to like 30 BC or 0 BC, I'd be like, well, I'm going to have to wait between 30 and 50 years, find Jesus, hope that that's real, and be like, hey, buddy, I'm from the future.
Can you do magic for me?
Yeah. Is there any way? What else would you do?
You go to Baghdad.
And hope that they have a solution?
And hope they have the
That's
portal.
the backup plan. Jerusalem's closer. I'll go there first and be like, hey.
Well, you got time. You go to Baghdad. Yeah. You find the gateway.
And be like, you know what an altar boy is? I was an altar boy.
That's not a thing yet. What is that?
Yeah.
An apostle?
You're just like, your best case scenario there is he turns around and can speak perfect English, and you're like, oh, thank God. Oh, I knew you were real. Oh, I knew you were real the whole time. I knew it was all real. Please tell me back. Please tell me back. Please tell me back.
I think you wait till after he's crucified, though, and he comes back to life.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd be his 13th apostle.
Yeah, I'll be like, hey, what are these guys' names? I'll tell you which one's an asshole.
Now, is Judas actually the most important apostle?
Yeah, 100%.
Without Judas, there is no death.
Yeah, Judas has played a key
Nobody
role.
dies for his sins.
Hard to hate, in my opinion. Yeah, he played his part.
Mm-hmm.
So they also portrayed Mark Antony. For whatever reason, I think Antony, to ingratiate himself to certain cities and stuff like that, would portray himself as Dionysus as well. And they also seized on that. They were like, yeah, he's not even Hercules, even though he's the fucking bitch Hercules when he is Hercules. He's also Dionysus, which is like the soft, handiest god there is, right?
Yep.
Fucking wine and pussy and like it's just nothing.
The dopest god.
Yeah, he's sweet. The
guy that gets drunk.
Very frivolous.
And fucks.
Very frivolous. Feasts and fucks. Yeah. So, again, like I said, Antony doesn't really help his case. Even though I think he's doing all of this in a way that's like, I will do whatever I want. I am my own man. I have nothing to prove to anyone. I'm going to look out for me and my family because I do think him and Cleopatra were genuinely in love. They were rarely apart from each other, all this stuff. So in 34 BC, Antony and Cleopatra held an extravagant triumph in Alexandria, Egypt, to celebrate Antony's conquest of Armenia and its annexation into the Roman Empire. This was, even though Romans threw triumphs all the time, perceived to be theatrical and arrogant and like totally the antithesis of what a Roman would do. Plus, he didn't even throw it in Rome. He threw it in Alexandria, which means he's Eastern.
Yeah, and he's not even trying to appease the Roman people at this point.
Which he's not. And again, even though I kind of think he's operating in the mindset of fuck the haters, like it's like you're not playing the game. You're not doing yourself any fucking favors.
He's expanding the empire.
I know. I agree. Also, to not help matters in terms of narrative, the triumph was for him and Cleopatra, and they both sat on thrones of gold, and there were lower thrones for their sons. They had a lot of kids. Antony wanted to confirm the queen's power.
Ooh, are there direct descendants from these two still alive today?
Probably.
That'd be sick.
That would not surprise me.
It'd be cool if you found that out.
I mean, they had enough kids that it would be shocking because they didn't all get killed by Octavian, really.
Right. There had to be some type of family tree that you can trace all the way back then.
Oh, almost certainly. I would be shocked if there wasn't. Like someone would have to tell me if there wasn't. So Antony declared Cleopatra the queen of Egypt. Now that still meant that she was a client queen, but whatever. Queen of Egypt, Cyprus, Libya, and Syria, and their children were rulers of Armenia, Media, Parthia, Phoenicia, Syria, and Cilicia. So basically the whole eastern area was divided up amongst their family, but under the umbrella of Rome, as far as I'm aware. I could be totally wrong about that. But anyway, the Romans were like, dude, what the fuck? This guy is gone native. Like, Octavian's right. He is an Eastern little boy now. Like, what?
He's a wildling.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, the Egyptians were like especially weirdos to the Romans. I think because they were
probably because they were an empire and they got conquered by 2 more empires.
Yeah, and their stuff was like so ancient that they were viewed as like very foreign and alien. And I don't know, maybe the pyramids freaked people out. Truly. So,
I mean, thank the Anunnaki for that.
If only they knew. So Octavian went to the Roman Senate and denounced that triumph to the Roman people and gathered more public disapproval of Antony's behavior. Again, he was depicted as un-Roman, a slave to Cleopatra. Now, Antony, for his part, he tried to clap back. But Antony's not a politician. He really picked the wrong game.
He's bad at just going after other dudes verbally.
I think, in a way, you can almost call this like a Ulysses S. Grant situation, right? Like a much better general than political administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Antony doesn't play the political game well. Like, he's a bull. You know what I mean? Like, he's
a knuckle dragger.
Charges in, does what he wants. He tries, God bless him. But Octavian wasn't built for battle. This is the arena Octavian was built for. And Octavian runs fucking circles around him in the political game. But Antony does try to clap back with his own propaganda efforts. Antony made sure everyone knew that Octavian was like a weakling, like a little timid boy at the Battle of Philippi. Like Antony won it. Octavian was useless. I think Octavian like fell ill or something. It was
peed his pants.
It was just something where it was like Octavian was a bitch. Like Octavian was weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's like, nah, he's the one. But honestly, this really just sounded like Antony being like, no, you are that. What you're calling me?
Yeah, but he's saying things people probably already know.
Right. People know that he's a soft hand. People know Octavian grew up soft. People know Octavian's not a soldier.
And a lot of people can't relate with the soldiers anyway.
And also, it doesn't matter what Octavian is because what he's saying is so well said that they just like it.
The messaging sounds better.
It sounds better. Mark Antony also respread the rumor that Julius Caesar was banging Octavian when Octavian was a kid.
Oof. His concubine?
Yeah. He was like, Octavian was getting it. He's like, I should know I was there. I was in that tent sometimes.
He's also a eunuch.
They probably should have said that, to be honest, but I think Octavian might have had kids at that point. But he should have said it anyway, because none of it matters.
No.
It doesn't have to be true.
Apparently not. Was Octavian getting his back blown out by Caesar?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Potentially?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. Off the top of my head.
Why else is he leaving him the kingdom?
I feel like it was considered a little surprising at the time, if I recall correctly, but I can't get into more details. I mean, I could Herodotus it and just be like, yeah, dude, they were banging.
He was at least giving them hand gibbers.
You're right. I mean, Caesar had a lot of rumors about male-on-male love affairs where he was. There was one where he was the bottom, and his soldiers would like kind of give him shit for it in marching songs.
Dude, don't tell the Alphas that. They were upset enough when the Alexander the Great show came out and he was banging dudes.
At all? Like even topping?
Yeah. The Alphas hate that.
What's more alpha?
You can't be talking about their heroes this way.
Look, the only gay sex is between two chicks.
That's true.
Full stop.
You can dominate another man?
That's truly one of my favorite jokes from 30 Rock. It's like, me, I'm the gay one? You have sex with women. You're the gay one. You win sex with the man. That's as straight as it gets.
Domination.
Yeah. So the tension between the two hit a boiling point, and another civil war was imminent. But it wasn't a civil war for two reasons. One, Antony had been effectively declared not Roman.
He defected.
Yeah, they're like, he's not even a Roman anymore. It's not a civil war. And by the way, the Roman populace at this point was like, we can't do another fucking civil war, dude. It had been like decades of civil war on and off, and they're just like, we don't.
Yeah, they're like, we need food for the city.
Yeah,
we're tired of giving out supplies.
We're tired of just like, come on. So the war was portrayed as, one, Antony wasn't Roman, and two, it's not even against Antony. It's against Cleopatra, and she has just like made him her puppet, so he doesn't even count. Like, we're fighting Cleopatra. She's the bad guy. So that's how the war was justified. It was not a civil war. It was a foreign war. And I think this is a quote from Octavian. Worst of all, they are not ruled by a man, but are the slaves of a woman. So they were like, any legions you fight that are from Antony, whatever, these are all, they're slaves to a foreign woman. Don't worry about it. Now the public sentiment had swung heavily against Antony, the decades-long war hero who had seen combat, who had done everything a man's man, a classic Roman man, could possibly do.
Wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough, because what have you done for me lately?
Always has been that type of society. People forget pretty easily.
People forget easily, and they hear what they want to hear. It doesn't matter that this man had seen combat dozens, if not maybe hundreds of times. I don't even know.
You got a new generation growing up, you know, a new generation, a new group of men or women that are coming up that were, you know, mere kids when he was doing his thing. And now they're teens, they're in their 20s, positions of power, and they're like, I don't know what the fuck he ever did.
I mean, that is like a thing now, right? Where it's like you get like Gen Z and Gen Alpha kind of just being like, I mean, how bad was the Holocaust really? Because they just weren't. They don't know. They're getting too far removed.
Yeah.
Like, I've met people who were in the Holocaust. There's not a lot of them left.
Kids that were born after 9/11.
Yeah. I mean, was it that crazy?
They just use it as a punchline.
I mean, well, it's funny. So
it is funny. But
it does get cringe, though. It's like, all right, yeah, we get it. 9/11. Sure. 9/11 happened. But it's also funny. But, yeah, it's the same thing. It's like, I mean, all right.
It's the same way we treat Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, we don't even care about Pearl Harbor.
No.
That was like a traumatic event for people of that generation, but we're just like, oh, yeah, okay, I mean, like, yeah, they bombed a military base, but then, I mean, we won the war, so it's all pretty chill.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. 2000.
We gave them a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, it's fine. But I assume when Pearl Harbor happened, people were like, oh, my fucking God. Like, just terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we did it at the Battle of L.A. Was that on the Patreon?
Yeah, it's on the Patreon.
Yeah, the Battle of L.A., patreon.com/softcorehistory. People were terrified that the Japanese were about to land in California at any moment. They were shelling California from a submarine, like, terrifying times, and now we're just like, those idiots shot at a balloon for 3 hours.
It was a bad movie. A long movie.
What, 1941?
No, Pearl Harbor.
Oh, no, that's a great movie. I love that movie. I love Pearl Harbor.
That's not surprising. You like bad movies.
That's fair. Here's the thing, though. The combat scenes are actually excellent. Like, genuinely, every scene that's combat is really fucking good.
Who's your favorite at Cuba?
Nah. It's Ben.
Okay.
So, public sentiment now completely against Antony. The War of Actium is on. The Senate declares war on Cleopatra. They blamed her for corrupting the great general Mark Antony. Like, you ruined him. We're not even fighting Mark Antony anymore. He's like a fake version of himself. And although the Senate did majority go to Octavian, 40% of the Senate, along with both consuls, sided with Antony and left Rome. But years later, when the winner was writing history, Octavian wrote that the whole of Italy voluntarily took oath of allegiance to me and demanded me as its leader in the war in which I was victorious at Actium. So he was like, all of Italy was like, hey, you got to save us, man, against this like soft guy who.
So who was Octavian's guy? Who was his general?
Agrippa, maybe? Yeah, Agrippa. Agrippa also a great Roman general. And Agrippa was almost like Antony in a way, in that he wasn't very politically talented either. But unlike Antony, he also wasn't really a fame whore. That's kind of Antony's downfalls. Like Antony
wanted the credit.
He's a fame whore and he was a party boy. So he liked to get fucked up. He liked being famous. Now, to his credit, he put his money where his mouth was. You know what I mean? Like, he backed it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was like, I'm going to be a famous general, and then went and won battles and did famous general shit.
Yeah.
He was just too in love with the fame.
You need this kind of hard-nosed, blue-collar type guy to come in, though, for Octavian.
Yeah.
That's how you win a war. Because he doesn't want the accolades. He doesn't want any of the attention. He just wants to get down to business.
Well, Agrippa was like, I think Agrippa also, too, was like, I'm going to live a pretty good life if I just win battles for this guy.
Also, if you stay off people's radar, too.
Yeah.
Like, you just do your job, you reap the rewards, but you never, like, ask for more. You're going to live a pretty good life. Like, you're not in the crosshairs. You're not a target. You do your job, you show up, you get paid.
You're good. And I think, so Agrippa just, he did die at the age of like 50, but
it's a good life.
But he was not, like, he just died. Like, he wasn't killed or anything like that. Like, he just, that's how shit goes.
Mm-hmm.
Back then. But yeah, Octavian had like a good commander to help, because he wasn't able to do that shit on his own. He was entirely a brilliant politician and a brilliant propagandist. And by the way, the reason we view Caesar the way we do, which is still like, when you think of Caesar, you do kind of reflexively think like, man, I can't believe they got him.
He's the GOAT.
Can't believe they killed him.
But he's not. You dig into the details and he sucks.
Like, he's a piece of shit. He deserved to get stabbed.
Yeah.
Like, and everything we believe about them is, I'm not saying like the other Roman senators were like pious, upstanding people or whatever, but it is this type of situation where, like, he was trying to become king on, like, there was no other explanation for it. And my favorite Caesar story to prove that he's a piece of shit is that he essentially was just like sad that he like wept in front of a statue of Alexander the Great, because Alexander the Great had already done so much by his 30s, and Caesar hadn't done hardly anything. Like, he was just a rich military commander who, was living a good life, but he was sad that he wasn't a godlike figure like Alexander the Great, and he wanted that fame, and he wanted that sort of like lasting immortality.
My allegiance is to the Republic, for democracy.
Yeah. So that is how Octavian, Caesar Augustus, made one of the most accomplished Roman military commanders maybe ever.
Public enemy number one.
By way of making him sound soft,
pussy whipped,
weak, and effeminate.
Sometimes you gotta do that to your boy. He starts dating a girl you don't like. Like, dude, you either break up with her or you gotta trash your reputation.
Dude, like, Brandon always kind of sucked, dude. Like, he kind of just hung around because Kyle and fucking Jeremy brought him around. I never really liked him that much.
Right. Like, dude, Kyle, he was never a part of the core four.
Nah, man. Like, we just kind of didn't. He just, like, had weed a lot or something. Like, dude, fuck him.
Yeah, he, like, never laughed at anything and kind of brought down the vibes.
It's high-key fucking dumb as fuck, too. Like, didn't he, like, light his car on fire in your yard?
He would, like, go out of his way to hit on other people's girlfriends.
Yeah, dude, when they were, like, drunk as fuck, too. Like,
he's very touchy.
Yeah.
Even to dudes, it was kind of sus.
Fucking weird, dude. But, yeah, they just completely... It still just cracks me up, like, that it worked, too. That the softest boy in Rome made the hardest dude left alive, because, look, I'm talking shit on Caesar, but credit where credit's due. Caesar's a badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
Whether you like him or not, badass motherfucker. So the hardest dude left in Rome is portrayed
Charmin soft.
effectively as an effeminate soft boy by the softest boy in Rome, who, out of a complete surprise, apparently, got the keys to the kingdom handed to him.
And then won.
And then won! Fucking crazy!
What happened to Mark Antony?
He killed himself after the Battle of Actium.
Cleopatra?
Killed herself.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a blind spot for me.
Yeah, they committed suicide.
I'm not like into Roman history.
I'm not necessarily like super into it either, even though I play the games and stuff like that. I'm definitely more into like...
I'd be more into Greek history than Roman.
Yeah. Ancient history in general I like find fun, but I don't... Like if I was going to play a history game, I'd rather play like Civil War, Napoleonic era, World War I, Victorian.
I'd rather do the Byzantines.
I really want to read more about the Byzantine era because I find that fascinating. But yeah, that's what I got. What'd you learn today?
I think messaging. Messaging is and has always been the most important part of conquering.
It doesn't matter who the person is, what's true or what's not true. It's who's the most insistent.
And if you say something long enough, it'll become the truth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who's today's Hitler?
I'm going to go with Cleopatra. She caused all this.
She kind of did.
Could have been a great man.
I was going to say love.
Love
is Hitler.
Or just really good pussy.
Look, they were in love. I think
that had to be a part of it.
Because he also put all the kids in his will, and not his Roman kids in the will.
So they didn't kill any of the kids either? It was just
I think maybe some. I didn't look in. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Was it like a suicide pact? Him and Cleopatra? Did they do it at the same time or different times?
No, they didn't. I don't. It's like portrayed as the same time, but I don't think it was.
Okay.
And Antony killed himself in like the traditional Roman soldier way too. He wanted to die in a Roman way since he had been portrayed so.
Is like seppuku?
On Roman, yes, like literally like Roman seppuku. And then, but like honestly, like a lot of this reads to me as just the actions of
Cleopatra poisoned herself.
I think so. But I think there's like a legend she had a poisonous snake biter.
Okay. Became Medusa.
Yeah. But this strikes me as the actions partly of a man who was in love.
With himself.
Himself, but also Cleopatra. Like, I think he was making decisions based on his partner and not politics.
Also, if some, like, younger, softer dude was your boss and was telling you what to do, you're going to have a hard time taking command or order from him.
Or taking what he says seriously. And Antony, by the way, did not take what he said seriously.
Never.
Which is a huge problem, which is what fucked him so bad.
Dude, there's so many people who think about it in corporate America now that are like in their 40s or 50s. They have these kids coming up that are like in their mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s that like fresh pups out of school coming in and telling them what to do. And it's like, dude, I've been doing this job for 30, 40 years at this point.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah, he didn't want to listen to him. He didn't realize how talented the kid was at certain things.
But you probably should listen to them because you're at the same job you've had for 20 years at least. You got to middle management, never tried anything after that.
You got to pay attention, right? You got to pay attention.
You gave up on your dreams.
And this kid's got more energy than you do.
Mm-hmm. He's got greater ambitions.
Yeah. Well, that is all I've got for today. Thank you so much for listening. As always, subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/softcorehistory. Leave a review, like Apple, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Merry Christmas.
R.I.P. Joey Spumoli or whatever the fuck his name was.
Tromboli, whatever. Yeah. For Dan Regester, I'm Rob Fox.
You just got saucer.